What's good, Commanders fans, and happy Washington Wizards opening day of basketball. I am super excited, super hyped for Wizards basketball, even though they're going to be pretty bad this year. They might be worse than the Commanders, honestly. I don't know who's going to be worse. Just looking at the way the Commander season may end or shape out for the rest of the way after losing to the Giants, I really don't know who's going to be worse. But I'm late. I'm late to the video, to making this video. Everybody else has made their video about all the rumor mill and the news and the scuttlebutt about Chase Young and Montez Sweat coming out over the past 24 to 48 hours. We got word from The Athletic, Josina Anderson, Jeremy Fowler. So many people have weighed in, Sam 48. So I'm just going to chime in, talk about those reports, give my opinion about it, what I think the Commanders will do, whether they buy or sell at the deadline. The deadline is October 31st, which is Halloween on Tuesday. But before I do get to that, I want to give a quick shout out to Critical Peak Services. Make sure you guys give them a call for all your electrical needs and services. If you call in and say Commander or that Ed sent you, you get 10% off your first service call or any service that they do for you. They also give free estimates as well. Make sure you guys give them a call, 877-247-9767. They do recessed lighting. So if you want to revamp your basement or get electrical work done or revamp your kitchen, nice lighting in there as well. They do security cameras. They do electrical car charging stations, breakers, panels, outlets, anything electrical, you name it, generators, generator installs, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you guys give them a call. All right, so let's get into the video. So we'll start with Josina Anderson's report here, and I mean what I think they should do. I think if they lose on Sunday against the Eagles, which they most likely will, I think they should sell. I think they should definitely sell. I mean, there's reports that they made calls to other teams just to gauge trade interest. Of course, teams are interested in trading for Montez Sweat and Chase Young. They're two darn good players, and they're young guys. They're going to be really good for the rest of their careers for sure. Two former first-round picks. Josina Anderson said, meanwhile, it is my understanding that there are several identifiable teams that have both interest in trading for either Commanders defensive ends, Montez Sweat or Chase Young, and are willing to offer either a long-term deal ahead of free agency. So that is good news that there are some bidders. There could be there most likely is a bidding war, and that their price could go up. It's a good thing that Chase Young is playing well this season. He has 5 sacks on the season, has a bunch of pressures, and has only played in 6 games, has missed 1 game. Montez Sweat's been solid so far. You know, he's usually steady at it. He gives you about 7 to 8, 9 sacks each season. That's, he's basically on pace to do that. Chase Young is on pace to give you about more than 10 sacks this year. Personally, I would like to keep one or the other. You probably can't pay all of them because there's so many free agents. We have Cameron Curl's a free agent. Gibson's a free agent. I probably wouldn't bring him back anyway, but Curtis Samuel's a free agent. There's so many free agents. Kendall Fuller's a free agent. There's so many free agents this upcoming offseason. So we're going to have a lot of money on the books, but we got to pay guys. We already paid Deron Payne. We already paid John Allen. We're not really paying anybody on the offensive line. It's time that we spend some money on the offensive line, or really just draft capital on the offensive line. If you trade Chase Young, you possibly could get a second-round pick. Maybe you get 2/3 from the Ravens. I think you should get more than 2/3. Maybe you get a second and a fourth, or a second and a fifth. Definitely think you should at least get a second. Not sure if you get a first because of the knee injury last year, and then the year before that he didn't play well. Or he missed a bunch of time last year, and then he didn't really play up to expectations the year before. It had 1.5 sacks before the knee injury. But Montez Sweat, I think you get a third or maybe even a second as well. I don't know. I don't really see getting a first for either one of them. But if you get a first, then you certainly have to consider it. You certainly have to do it. And the thing is, does Chase Young want to come back? Does he want to be here? They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. I know there's going to be a new regime, Magic Johnson, Josh Harris. So I don't think him and Ron Rivera see eye to eye. The whole OTAs thing, him not picking up his 5th-year option. Not too sure how Chase Young felt about that. He is with Clutch Sports. Montez Sweat is with Clutch Sports. So I just don't think him and Ron Rivera just see eye to eye. That's just my personal opinion. So I just don't think, but Ron's going to be going. He's going to be fired by Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving is the deadline for Ron Rivera. I don't think he's going to make it to Thanksgiving. But Chase Young, if they can keep him, sure. If Josh Harris and Magic Johnson know that they can possibly bring him back with a new GM and a new coach, then I would definitely try to keep him. But if Chase Young, if you just have a feeling he's not going to come back, you're not going to pay him, franchise tagging him. We know how that ends with Brandon. You can franchise tag him, and then he won't come back the next year. Or you could double franchise tag him like we did with Brandon Sheriff, and eventually he just leaves. So kind of want to get some value there. If you get a second-round pick, it's something to definitely consider and think about. So there could be a bidding war. That's good news from Josina Anderson. The other news is the Commanders have not had contract negotiations with star pass rusher Chase Young or Montez Sweat. Per The Athletic, one front office executive believes that Washington will be sellers at the deadline A loss to the Eagles would make them 3-5. So if they are going to be sellers, man, I would lean towards doing that and just getting draft capital and really just build around getting the offensive line. If Sam's not the guy, build around getting another quarterback. We have to attack the offensive side of the football. We have to get an offensive line in here. We have to get a franchise quarterback. And the jury's still out on Sam. I still like Sam a lot. I still believe in him. But, if it doesn't work out for the rest of the season, then you definitely have to look at drafting a quarterback. This is an article from Sam 48 as well. He says, one senior NFC personnel executive who spoke on the condition of anonymity. And that's the thing. When people have these anonymous sources and stuff like that, they always say some crazy stuff all the time. So you want to take what they said with a grain of salt because they never put their name on it. To evaluate, another team said the markets for Chase Young and Montez Sweat will be depressed because both are on expiring deals and are unlikely candidates for trade and signs. He was especially skeptical the team would commit to Chase Young now because of his inconsistent injury history as well. He said Washington would probably receive offers of a 4th or 5th round pick and a 3rd at absolute best. I definitely disagree with that. I think you can get a 2nd for Chase, especially the way he's playing right now. 5 sacks on the season. Montez Sweat, a 3rd kind of sounds realistic because he's on an expiring deal. That sounds about right. But a 5th and a 4th, I think that's a slap in the face. And I think that's really disrespectful. I think Ron Rivera should hang up the phone, him and the Martys. It's unfortunate that they're still running this team and they're going to be making the decisions. But knowing them, they're going to want to keep both of them because Ron Rivera still believes that he can win. And if you still want to win, then you're not going to trade these guys. You're going to try to keep them. That's why I think that they should be sellers after they most likely lose to the Eagles, but they won't do anything. They're going to try to keep as much talent as they can keep. Dov Clement says, Commander, this is the same Ben Standing article. Commanders haven't talked about a new contract with either. Both players are pending free agents. The Commanders have reportedly made trade calls to NFL teams about trading both pass rushers. So, we could see the end of Chase Young and Montez Sweat here. Like I said, I would like to keep both, but it just probably won't work out that way. They're probably going to look for 17, 18, 19, $20 million per year, especially Chase Young. If he ends the season with double-digit sacks, then he's going to leave. And unfortunately, he probably will end up like Preston Smith, where he ended up going all-pro. Same thing with Montez Sweat, where people just leave the Commanders and they just stay healthy for the rest of their careers and they just play better. It's just the Commander way. And then a coach uses them correctly or uses them the right way, and they get the best out of them, and they finally untap their potential. So I could certainly, unfortunately, see it going that way. So, and then I'll wrap up with just saying some people calling for Jacoby Brissett. I think it was Doc Walker who said he wants to see Jacoby Brissett. There's no point in putting Jacoby Brissett in here. He's not going to win a bunch of games. He's just not. He's not going to change anything. He may get the ball out quicker because he's a savvy veteran and he's seen a lot of defenses before that Sam Howell has not. But there's no need to make a change at this point. If they lose to the Eagles, they don't deserve to make the playoffs right now. They just don't. Let's just keep it real and be honest with Ron Rivera at the helm. And the way Eric Bieniemy is calling plays and coaching right now, he's not setting up Sam for success. And Sam is to blame for some of the sacks for sure. But when you keep dropping them back, when you know Wink Martindale wants to blitz all the time, that's just setting your quarterback up for failure for sure. Other news, there was a report saying Ron Rivera, multiple league sources named head coach Ron Rivera as a head coach. Most likely to be fired during the season. That's per Matt Lombardo of the NFL. Magic Johnson keeps calling the staff and team out. Makes you think Rivera's on the hottest seat, and it seems like Eric Bieniemy is already running the show there. Anyway, if Bieniemy does well, I'm guessing he gets the job. I don't see Eric Bieniemy running the show right now because he's struggling offensively. We went 1 for 15 on third downs, and then we struggled on third downs in the second half against the Falcons. We could barely run the football. We have an offensive coordinator who was a running back in the NFL in college and can barely get a run game going. So Eric Bieniemy has been disappointing for sure. And then other guys who I think could be on the trade block, honestly, with expiring deals. I already talked about Kendall Fuller, Antonio Gibson for sure, Curtis Samuel, Jacoby Brissett. You may want to consider trading him. Honestly, if we go 3-5, and I already talked about Kendall Fuller and Cam Curl, I don't think that they're going to trade him, but you gotta weigh all your options at this point. And I think the Ron Rivera era is done, and I think it was over really when at the halftime at the Bears game when he said. He just let the guys talk amongst themselves. I think he mentally checked out. I think he's tired, and I think he's exhausted. Just all the things he's been through. Not giving him any excuses, but, he's just giving more duties to Eric Bieniemy, more duties to Jack Del Rio. You can just tell he's kind of checked out. Some of his answers and pressers talking about somebody asked him why isn't the draft class good or why are they not playing? And then he started talking about Sam Howell, who's not even a part of that draft class. And then he also said in the John Keim interview that, he's content if the team goes 8-1, but the following year they have a good year because he feels like he contributed to that. So I think he's content and accepting if they have another 8-1 season or a 7-10 or losing season. So I think he's mentally checked out, and I think Ron is done. here. And I think he knows it. He knows he's a lame duck, sitting duck coach. So I think it's time for Ron to move on for sure. And I don't think he makes it past Thanksgiving. So you guys let me know what you guys think about Chase Young and Montez Sweat. What you could get. Do you think you get a first round pick? Do you think you could get anything more than a third or a second at this point? What would you do with Chase Young and Montez Sweat? We'll see what happens. Would you be buyers or sellers at the deadline? Hope you guys have a good day. Health to the Wizards. Hopefully the Wizards get a dub tonight for sure. All right, you guys, Health to Commanders. Peace.